On the one hand side, on the design side of this, we have a lot of tools that we're now bringing together in the metaverse to allow you to build digital twins of your production factory or your process plant and so on. Why are we doing that? We're doing it because we believe that you need to treat the factory as a product.
Welcome to the Trend Detection Podcast, powered by Siemens.
People think of Coca-Cola, they think of one of the world's most iconic brands. But you know what? Behind every bottle, behind every can is a highly complex operations network that needs to deliver at scale and with absolute reliability. So I think that's a great customer case to discuss operations software and what Siemens can do to help our customers. And we're particularly pleased to welcome Belen Brunet, who is Director of Digital and Operational Technology at Coca-Cola Europacific Partners. Thanks for joining us, Belen. Good morning.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Pratik.
And we also have Mark Hindsbo here from Siemens. He's Head of Operations Software. And Mark is a seasoned leader. He's an IT guy, he's a hardware guy, he's a business guy. So he brings it all together. And I know that you guys have a great relationship. So you're going to share some of the work that we've been doing together. But before we start, maybe, Belen, could you share in a couple of words the mission of CCP, Coca-Cola Europacific Partners? What do you do and how do you scale it?
Yes, thank you very much for inviting me to have this session together with you. It's really a pleasure to share with you this conversation. So at CCP, we are Coca-Cola Europacific Partners. So as you said, we are making, selling and delivering one of the most famous brands and the most refreshing beverage in the market. So at CCP, we are serving 4 million customers all around the CCP footprint, which is part of Europe and also Australia Pacific region. So the numbers that we are producing is 4 billion unit cases, so a big number of Coke bottlers there. We are operating 31 markets, so it's a large number of different scenarios. So we are selling in different markets. The road to market there is completely different, and also our operation in each of the markets. So we have more than 90 production factories, again, all around the world, and we have more than or around 400 lines. So the complexity of our operations and how to keep them all up and running, so it's really a challenge every day. Yeah.
So I think definitely complexity is one of the key words. I take here 90 facilities. I mean, that must keep you up at night, I suppose, right? Also given sort of the large area you're covering and the time shifts. Mark, I think complexity is indeed an issue for some of our customers, right? And we see that, the world is not getting an easier place, right? Also for our customers, and they have to respond to that. So could you share maybe some of the key market trends that we see at Siemens and how in particular that then impacts, your business of operations software?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thanks, Patrick, and thanks Belen for being here with me. It's a pleasure, working together in our partnership. So I always say that I feel like our customers live in interesting times, as the Chinese proverb goes. And that sometimes is super positive and super negative. In many ways, complexity is actually an opportunity. So if you look at, consumer goods, the complexity that the customer wants in terms of different, maybe regional flavors or individualized needs and so on. And it's not just in consumer goods. We see pretty much with every, industry we work in, individualized medicine, your car is tailored to your need. So actually that complexity is an opportunity if you can tame it. But the customer's needs are definitely getting more complex. The macroeconomic landscape is interesting as well. We have food safety regulations, so you might have to change your ingredients, and those changes are coming more and more rapidly. You might have supply chain shortages and disruptions in different parts of the world. We have an increasingly drive to get manufacturing onshore, nearshore again in country. So there's a lot of drives like that. And then of course we have tons of technology changes coming on. I think we've all are probably tired by now talking about AI. Not the only technology change, lots of technology changes. So all of that, I'd say, represents both opportunities and challenges. And from my perspective, at least when we look at op software, we're seeing a market that is really growing solidly, both in our core base of MES and SCADA systems, but in these data solutions and AI solutions that sit on top of it and really enrich it and brings us to the next level of taming the complexity.
And Belen, is what Mark is saying, is that resonating with you? I mean, if you sort of maybe pick one or two things that really sort of keep you up at night, and where you say these are strategic priorities that you're also driving your investment to respond to these macro trends, what would you pick?
Well, so as I said, so disruption, having a business that is so large and operated in different markets, so it's one of the things that wake me up and keep me awake. But on the other hand, also, so it's also an opportunity to live these changes, and have the opportunity on being more customized to our customers, having our customers in the center of our operations. That's one of the key elements in what we are doing. So that's why this customization, so to really understand better the needs of the customers, what they want, where they want it, and be ready, so to have it there available for them. So that's one of the key elements that we are trying to understand better. So our customers, what they are looking for. So on that, so everything related with having better forecasts, better planning, so to really be ready in the place that we should be at the time that we should be is key. As we said, so there is a lot of disruptions, operations due to the macroeconomic situation, geopolitical situation. So that's something that we would like to, with the new technologies, so to be better at, so to make that prediction ahead of something that will happen in the future. And I think that some of the things that we have been already discussing, so will help us to be a step forward instead of just reacting to the things. So that's of the key elements for us as part of our One Supply Chain strategy. So we want to be more efficient in our operations. So all the tools that we are talking about, getting better data, trust on data, so connecting IT and OT. So this is something that for me is the future and is the key. And this is where Siemens has a portfolio of solutions that it's covering, I think, every single layer. And it's about seeing how all the pieces of the puzzle fit together in order to make better our operations in general. The other key element is our people. So we think that we cannot forget that, of course, the safety of them is the first thing in our factories. So that's why also it links a bit with not just safety itself, also cybersecurity. So to be sure that if we are automating our factories, so they will continue being secure and we are going to continue having secure operations. And on the other hand, so onboard them into the journey. So we want to have the humans in the loop, as we are saying with all these AI things. So we need the people to be really on board in this journey and be ready with new capabilities for the future.
Can I maybe double click on the people issue, right? Because of course no discussion here at Hannover without AI, so you have to bear with me. But let's maybe not just talk about AI in general, but sort of about the connects you see, how it affects sort of human operations. Can you maybe share from your experiences, like, how people are adopting these tools? Are they sort of, wary of these new AI tools, or do they see it as an opportunity to improve your operation?
Yeah, well, I think there is a kind of both. So I think we are already embed AI in our daily operations and in our daily life, but sometimes we are not really conscious on how much we are using, at the end of AI, because it's already there, So that's one point. The other one is that, at the end of the day, we need to change how we are operating our factories. So AI will change how we interact with the machines. The machines are going to be more autonomous, and we are going to be doing better decisions based on real time. So we are going to be better at that, And we need to learn how to incorporate all these technologies, and this is the journey and where we are at, And that's why it's really important to have a good partnership with the technology, but also thinking on how we are going to change the processes, put the people in the conversation, the ones that are going to really start using the new technology, and build these proof of concepts, pilots, where you really start checking, how this all fits together and how we are going to scale that into the future, Because this is, I think, one of the challenges also. So the escalation of the things that we are already starting to develop.
Yeah. And maybe that leads us to the next part of the conversation, where now we have set the scene, we've talked about the challenges, and now we can drill a bit deeper into how we can address those potentially. So Mark, I'd be interested, sort of, you're now almost, well, I always call you a newbie. I think that's not fair because you've been to
totally
Siemens.
Fair. You should have a newbie mindset always.
Exactly.
Right? Be curious, feel new. Don't feel too comfortable. Things are changing.
So Mark, you're with Siemens for a year roughly, so which is like really kind of new to Siemens, and your first Hannover fair, and you've taken on that sort of broad operation software portfolio, and you really think about how do you bring that together to create more customer value. So maybe can you talk us through sort of how you see sort of the different buckets from design to engineering to operations?
Yeah. So at Operation Software, we are really bringing together a full portfolio of products of everything you need to both design and operate your factories. That's essentially the big promise. So let me touch on a couple of things and highlights. I mean, I could spend hours on this, so let's try to be a little bit
5
brief,
minutes
at least. on sort of the on the one hand side, on the design side of this, we have a lot of tools that we're now bringing together in the metaverse to allow you to build digital twins of your production factory or your process plant, and so on. Why are we doing that? We're doing it because we believe that you need to treat the factory as a product. So when we build cars or when we design new flavors of a drink today, we test thousands of different variations and so on to find the thing that is absolutely perfect. We can now do the same thing for our factories. So whether it's a bottling plant or a distribution plant or it's a chemical plant or an automotive manufacturing process, you can build this full fidelity digital twin of an entire factory, run hundreds of thousands of variations and say, what if, how do I get the best yield? How do I get the best optimization out of this? If I have to do product changes midstream, what does that look like? Does the flexibility get built in? Right, so that's one set of tools we really believe, and we've been working on that quest for decades. So it's not new, it's very proven technologies, but in the industrial metaverse with what's happening with AI and so on, we can make those tools even more powerful, even sort of more exploration. We're taking that digital twin into operations. I think we'll hear you talk about asset maintenance and predictive maintenance and so on. So as you have these digital twins and you couple it with real-time operation data, you can start getting very good insights into how is your production running, where might we have future issues, where should we plan downtime and so on. So we're building a stack that allows you to plug into that digital twin, right, that monitors everything that's going on. So on the bottom end we have next generation of SCADA, HMI, and DCS systems coming out. That's really that industry strength control layer, because all that we talk about AI, and I love AI, but if AI does not sit on a bedrock of very deterministic functionality that you can trust, bad things happen in production. And I always say, I don't want a chemical plant exploding, on my watch, right? Or if you have a formulation of Coca-Cola, it's very precise what has to happen, right, through a process like that. If we think of an analogy, think about the most autonomous systems today, autonomous cars, autonomous airplanes. The braking system on a car is not AI. That is very deterministic. It knows friction coefficients. It knows when to press, when to. There might be an AI that looks at an image and says, that's a person, I need to stop. And then it calls the deterministic. We see factories being the same thing. You cannot operate an autonomous AI factory if you don't have a deterministic bedrock. We're building MES systems, next generation MES systems will operate both with human beings and with agents. Right, so we've designed the previous generations mostly for humans, and we're designing the next generation for the hybrid of the two. And then we're putting these data and AI intelligence systems on top of it that allows you to do the analysis across all of it. And then we're bringing all of that together with a data fabric. And what's important to say here is we're not building a generic data fabric. You'll hear a lot of sort of generic data fabrics. We're building an industrial data strength fabric that is tuned to the realities of operations. So when you need to make operational decisions, you can't have a data warehouse where the snapshot was a month ago, right? You need the actual state of what's happening today so you can make the right decisions. So that's what we're building in. And then it's important to say, as you said, we have a lot of things on the table. You have a lot of things on the table. This is an open, modular, interoperable ecosystem. Because as much as I would like Coca-Cola to have everything from Siemens, that's not the reality, right? We go into a heterogeneous environment and we figure out what's the right thing for the right solve, and then it has to interoperate with what's already there and add value in place.
Yes. And maybe if we look at one element of that operation software portfolio, Belen, that I know that you are deploying now in your operations, that's of course an AI-driven predictive maintenance product called Senseye. Belen, could you maybe in a few words run us through your thinking here? So what was the issue at hand? What was your pain point that you felt you need a solution, and why did you then turn to Siemens to bring it on?
Yeah. Okay, so when we make the decision on Senseye, so we were looking into, as one of the pillars is to be efficiently operated, so we want to improve our asset utilization, and to do that, so the way to handle is, how we can reduce the maintenance time that we are then blocking the lines and saying, we cannot operate because we are doing it. So we have always this discussion between operations and maintenance when they one said, I need more time, and the other ones, no, you cannot, and they were always complaining, and they said,
it's always the other one. That
sounds familiar.
On that, so we said, let's try to make the best on, learning from what we can see in the machines, and with that, so then be again predictive really on that, and really understanding how we can better do these things, because most of the time so we are just following the standards of the OEM saying you have to replace this, and potentially we have already seen that it's not really needed, and on the other way around, sometimes something is malfunctioning and you want to go in advance. So with that, so we look into the market, and we see the Senseye tool from you guys, and so it has been really a way to combine the opportunity on really capturing the signals, which is something that it's always important. So this opportunity on really connecting the machines, identifying the key points where you want to measure, the ones that you really need in that operation. So to really capture that, put it in the right context, trash on that data, and then with that, so then you will have, then you are listening what is happening in the lines, which you don't really have the opportunity to do that on a daily basis. So this is the first point. The second one is you are collecting historical data. Also, you are enhancing that historical data with data from the OEM, so what this machine and so on. In the future, as we would like to expand to the whole CCEP, so we will be listening from all the other machines that are the same, that are operating in the other factories. And with that, so we have a really big amount of data that you can then do this AI analysis to say, I think you have an issue here. And then it's not just that. So you have an issue here and you can solve in this way, and that's the magic that will help our people, because one of the things that also we are lacking now, so we are in a change of generations within our factories, and the people, they have a really big knowledge on the experience of years and years working with all machines, that we are now somehow losing a bit of that knowledge. So helping the people come in, so to be able to do some more target operations into the machines is really another key element in what Senseye is giving to us.
So there's two things I take away from what Senseye brings to our customer here is, number one, don't fix it if it's not broken, and number two, fix it before it's going to break, right? And then maybe also find the right time, sort of that when it doesn't impact operations, so you can preempt a change and resolve maybe that constant challenge between maintenance and operations. So find peace, and happiness between the two camps here. And Belen, you also mentioned, of course, we see that also at Siemens, right? So experienced colleagues retiring, so how do you bring on that knowledge to the next generation? And sort of a lot of times, sort of these people had the experience, they know how, a machine would sound like if it's going to break down. That might not be the case for somebody joining, right, the operation. So that's why getting that data and analyzing is so key. So maybe in just a few words, you said you're starting with the project, what are your plans for scaling it?
Yeah, so we have already done a pilot in one manufacturing site, and that has been really good. Now we are moving to the logistics, because we think that, this is a tool that it shouldn't be only in our manufacturing or production facilities. So we are now doing an assessment in an automatic warehouse, and the next step after that would be to define together with your support, so how we can scale that to our operations globally.
Okay. Well, Belen, Mark, thanks so much for joining us today. And to all of our viewers, hope you can join us here at Hannover Hall 27. It's getting crowded. We're looking forward to another beautiful event day at Hannover.
Please like and subscribe on all major podcast channels. And find out more about Senseye Predictive Maintenance at Siemens.com.